a nice day to everyone, a new day which also a new opportunity to learn and a new knowledge to unfurl about this whole wide world. In this topic, we would tackle about the favorite transportation in a large body of water, which is the ships. Parts and the classification of the ships. But first, let's know about the objectives. At the end of this presentation, you may be able to first, learn the significance of the ships. Second, identify the different parts of the ships and their functions. Third, know the different classification of the ships. The contents of this presentation. First, about the ships. Second, significance of the ships. Third, different parts of the ships. And the last is the classification of the ships. Ship is a large watercraft that travels the world's ocean and other sufficient deep waterways, carrying goods or passengers, or in support of specialized missions such as defense, research, and fishing. Ships are generally distinguished from boats based on size, shape, load, capacity, and tradition. Without shipping, the import and export of goods on the scale necessary for the modern world would not be possible. Shipping plays a vital role in the world trade and is the backbone of the world's economy. Without ships, the transportation services the ships provide, the world would not be as prosperous as it is today, and many countries would not be able to participate in a world trade. The different parts of the ships. First, the anchor. An anchor is a heavy metal piece attached to the chain cables and stored or secured in the hose pipe during the voyage or ship operation. It can be either permanent or temporary with an additional subclass of sea anchors. All ships carrying anchors are of the temporary type, as they are not always fixed to the same position and often lowered at different positions depending upon need. Together with its chain cables, connecting devices, windlass, and chain stopper, it is called anchor gear. An anchor is made of 5 major parts: shank, crown, stack, float, and tripping ring. A shank is a fixed stem structure which is fitted together with float by the tripping pin passing through the shank hole. Together, these connecting structures along with stack, a crossbar, that helps turn the anchor to assist float to dig into ground are known as anchor crown. The fluke on respect is the key part of an anchor which actually dig deep into the ground to hold the ship in place. Function of the anchor: to secure them in a place against the natural forces such as wind and tide current. Anchors are used in ship. They act as a holding hand securing them to definite place with their loop hooked deep into seabed and way of chain along with its resultant force keeping the ship fixed in its place. The bow. A bow is a frontmost part of the ship which cuts the water along its sides as the ship proceeds. The key to requirement for a bow is to have minimum drag possible or so-called resistance between the water and the ship's hull and must be taut enough to avoid water splashing too easily on the top of it. In all the different bow types tested so far in the history, only a handful of them passed the test of time: the bulbous bow, inverted bow, and an axe bow. The bulbous bow is the one that you will see in the most ships, including that used for commercial shipping. It can be identified easily by its distinct bulging bulb-like shape just under the waterline, and has an advantage of increasing fuel efficiency of a ship by 10 to 15%. On another hand, a ship with inverted bow design have its part of hull and bow upside down, much like that of a submarine with extended waterline. This on one hand improves its water drag, while on the other restricts its reserve buoyancy and speed in bad weather. An axe bow type have vertically stem-lined hull structure along with a deep axe-like structure in the foremost part of the ship. It is one of the parts of the ship which drew to its design capabilities helps to improve the speed of ship of the same power. The function of the bow. Have you feel that extra effort you have to make to walk through water? That is due to the water drag and its resistance to your body motion. So to reduce the similar negative forces on ship's body, bow is placed on ship assistant easy propulsion. Bow thrusters. A bow thrusters is a propeller-like device fitted on both sides of ship's bow. It is used to increase the maneuverability of a ship in congested waters under very slow speed like that in canals or near ports. Having bow thrusters greatly affects the overall running cost of a ship by reducing part of port cost for tug, a small boat used by port authorities to help safely dock a ship. Assistance. For a ship having bow thruster, it is required to have proper markings on both sides above waterline. The function of a bow thruster is a ship in maneuvered using propulsion and rudder angle variation. A rudder is a blade-like structure situated at aft of propeller which moves horizontally across the median to steer a ship. Rudder angle is a change by a value to get desired change in ship direction. But what if the speed of ship is too slow to be effectively controlled by rudder angle? This is where the bow thrusters came into picture, assisting captain to steer ship even at very slow speed. Accommodation. It is a place on ship where the crew resides or live, together with offices, crew, cabins, gym, prayers room, few ships, salon, recreational room, laundry, hospital, and galley. It is the heart of a ship next to engine room and bridge. A salon on board is a common area or living space for its crew, passengers, and any visiting authorities to interact, and often include common room and dining space. Function. An accommodation account for the living space of the ship under Maritime Labor Conventing MLC 2006-2007. It is required by law to provide adequate accommodation facilities to ship's crew and officers along with proper recreational facility. Deck. A deck is a floor or covering to the ship's hull structure. A ship can have different deck at different sections or parts of ship, namely upper and lower deck or deck 1, deck 2, and deck 3 in a sequential downward way. What it means is that the topmost deck exposed to weather is called main deck or weather deck. The levels and floors below weather deck is called deck 1, while the one below deck 1 is called deck 2, and so on. On the other hand, decks or floors that does not extend from aft to forward are generally called as level. Based on the position and level of a ship's deck can be divided into 6 main types: main deck, poop deck, upper deck, lower deck, weather deck, and the foredeck. The main deck on the ship, which run through its entire length, is called main deck. For most ships, it is also the topmost deck and so also called the upper deck. But in warship, it is separate deck below the upper deck. The deck below upper deck is called lower deck, while any part of the ship which is exposed to open weather is called weather deck. The deck situated in the aft side of the ship is called prop deck, while the part of the deck situated in between accommodation and forecastle is called foredeck. The function. One of many parts of ship, a deck is the plane that holds the whole structure, providing different ceiling floor to the ship. The other job is thus to provide space and floor for the equipment and people to stand and work while protecting them from outside weather. Ship's hull. A ship hull is that part of ship that extends below the waterline to cover and protect water from getting in. You can consider it as the shell which protects the inside treasures from outside environment. Everything that is stored and situated within the main ship structure is covered and protected by the ship's hull. Ship's hull is designed as such to offer minimum resistance to water. It is feasible and economical to construct without losing on much needed cargo space. One can easily calculate and improve the overall efficiency of a ship calculating and reducing cost resistant to the ship's motion. Function. Made of steel, the key rule of ship's hull is to maintain its watertight and integrity and reduce water drag, and so hull plays a major role in determining overall efficiency of a ship. Ship's hull thus coated with special paint that not only reduce frictional drag but also avoid marine growth, which further increase the resistance to ship's motion. Keel. A keel is a part of ship's hull that is responsible for providing strength to the ship's structure, spreading stress and load equally along its longitudinal sides. Due to this property to hold and support ship's structure, it is often termed as the backbone of the ship. In simple terms, it provides stability to the ship and increases its effective speed. The introduction of keel in shipping reduced much of the work regarding stabilizing ship structure. Function. Being one of the key parts of the ship, it helps stabilize and support this structure. It also plays an important role in increasing an effective speed of a ship, with displacement of ship dependent upon the depth of keel from waterline. It is helpful to measure the draft and reserve buoyancy of ship. Freeboard. A freeboard stands for the part of ship's hull located above the waterline. It is the distance between the upper deck of ship and the point of waterline. The freeboard of a ship is not fixed, but rather depends on the amount of cargo it carries. It is required at all times to maintain a minimum freeboard at all times to avoid ship from sinking, thus to ensure safety of ships at sea. Load line marking is used to ensure maximum possible draft for sail voyage. Function. The role of freeboard among different parts of the ship is to maintain ship stability and avoid it from sinking. International Convention on Load Line. Following the load line marking are put on ship's hull: tropical freshwater, tropical summer, winter, and winter North Atlantic. These load lines ensure that ships have minimum sufficient freeboard at all times for safe voyage. Engine room. An engine room is the powerhouse of the ship located in the lowest-most deck on the aft of the ship. It contains important machinery such as main engine, auxiliary engine, alternator, shafting, boiler, freshwater generator, air compressor, calorifier, purifier, incinerator, pumps, heat exchangers, workshop machineries, etc. If you ask a mariner about engine room, the first thing he might tell, it's hot, noisy, and full of vibration. The average temperature of engine room is always above 45 degrees centigrade. All the machinery in engine room is well segregated across different places on 3 different decks named utility deck, weather deck, and machinery deck, with all the propulsion and auxiliary machinery installed in place. It is also called as the heart of the ship. All the machinery in engine can be controlled from a control room called Engine Control Room or ECR. In short, it is the only place in engine room where you will get relief from hot temperature and much of the noise. Function of engine room. The key role of engine room is to hold all the key machinery and auxiliaries required for different operations on board ship. Funnel. A funnel is what from which the exhaust gas are released into atmosphere. You can consider it as a chimney of the ship. Since the introduction of mechanized ship, it has been an integral part of the ship's structure. The cross-section of width of this funnel largely depends on the amount of exhaust engine room produced. In early days of shipping, it has used to release everything that the ship emits, but nowadays it is used within the limits of controlled emission with chute collection in place to reduce pollution. Function. Being one of the parts of the ship, the function of funnel is to safely release excess gas produced in engine room to the outside atmosphere. Together with the forward motion of the ship and the funnel inclination towards the aft, excess gas is easily moved away from ship, avoiding possibly hindrance to ship navigation. Navigation bridge. If engine room is the heart of the ship, navigation bridge is its brain. It is a wide platform on top of the accommodation from which the ship is controlled. They are many at times aided with additional narrow passage called bridge wing to allow broader and better view of the outside to safely maneuver the ship. The main part of the bridge from which the ship is controlled and steered is called pilot house. It is the position in the navigation bridge from which the duty officer command, monitor, and maneuver a ship under normal condition and able seamen in present with duty officer in the navigation bridge. A ship bridge is equipped with equipment including gyroscope, radar, magnetic compass, autopilot, sonar, rudder angle, indicator, GPS, ship's horn, navigation light, signaling flags, etc. Function of the navigation bridge. Out of the various parts of ship, the function of navigation bridge is to provide ample space for officer to look and maneuver safely. It also holds necessary equipment and controls to change ship speed and its direction while monitoring outside sea condition and establishing proper means of communication. Forecastle. A forecastle is the foremost parts of ship. It accounts for the front part of the ship upper deck and is not more than 7% of a total deck length. It can be easily identified on a ship structure by a sudden rise in the foredeck near the ship bow. In earlier days, forecastle of the ship was used for a specific purpose of taking defensive position by the soldier in the military vessel. These days, it is used most for holding and securing major ship parts. Function of the forecastle. Being one of the key structural parts of the ship, a forecastle of the foremost part of the foredeck, it holds all the necessary equipment required for anchoring operation. On Navy ships, apart from holding anchoring posts and equipment, a forecastle also holds strategic defensive guns position. Propeller. It is a fan-like mechanical device with blades fitted on the shaft. It rotates with the shaft to produce much needed thrust to propel a ship. The propeller of a ship produces this thrust by converting a rotational energy of its blades to pressure energy. This is done by using the difference in pressure generated on its near and far side of the blade to push the water aside. Together with its part, hub, blades, and its faces, it produces the required thrust for propulsion using Newton's third law of motion. Newton's third law of motion states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. The propeller of the ship pushes the water backwards, creating net resultant force of equal magnitude that makes the ship move forward. Function of the propeller. A ship would be useless if it does not move, so propellers are installed on ship to provide it forward motion. So the function of propeller in ship is to provide much needed thrust to propel the ship. Rudder. If propeller is the part of ship that propels, then rudder is the one that makes it steer. Situated in the aft of propeller, it is a flat hollow structure that moves from port to starboard turning on its axis to help steer the ship. A rudder consists of parts such as rudder trunk, main rudder blade, movable flap, hinge system, links, and rudder carrier bearing. A rudder steers the ship following Newton's third law of motion, similar to the propeller. Function of the rudder. A rudder is a part of ship that makes it steer. Based on the Newton's third law of motion, it generates enough resultant force to steer a ship to desired direction. The movement of the rudder is controlled by steering gear system ships. Mast. A mast is a vertical ship structure mounted on top of bridge and forward of the forecastle towards the ship's bow. It accounts for the support platform for the ship's direct and hold necessary equipment such as radar, navigation light, and ship horn in case of foremast. They are made of high tensile steel with added rigidity based on the size of derricks it holds. Other than that, a ship main mast is also used to hoist ship flags. Function of the mast. Out of the different parts of the ship, the main job of the mast is to hold necessary equipment such as radar, receiver, navigation lights, ship's horn, flags, and directs in some cases. Classification of the ships. First, the cargo ships. Cargo ships are generally used to transport cargo safely from one place to another. They will have a ship with a multi-deck or single-deck hull. There are thousands of cargo ships on the move around the world, transporting goods across the globe. They are crucial to international trade. Cargo ships can transport things such as food, petroleum, furniture, metals, clothes, and machinery. Ro-ro, or roll-on, roll-off. Most vehicles that being transported over water internationally are done on a roll-on, roll-off ship. The reason this ship is so popular to transport vehicles is that it's safer and much faster to just drive a car onto the ship than using a crane. Once the cars are aboard, they are braced to the ship's deck to keep them from moving around while the ship is at the sea. The tankers. Tankers are ships that primarily carry huge quantities of liquid. They can carry a wide range of liquids such as oil, water, wine, and lots of different chemicals that needs transporting. They come in lots of different sizes, but some of the larger vessels have the capacity to carry several 100,000 tons. Passenger ships. Passenger ships are officially defined as ships that carry more than 12 passengers. If you own a passenger ship, then you will need to abide by strict safety regulations. There have been several disasters with passenger ships safely, so the rules and regulations have been updated in a bid to try and improve safety. Passengers should be able to travel in a safe and comfortable environment. Passenger ships also include cruise and holiday ships. Fishing vessels. Fishing vessels are boats and ships designed to catch fish and marine wildlife. They are used for leisure purposes but also for commercial fishing. There are millions of fishing vessels being used to catch fish around the world. If you are considering working on a fishing vessel, then it is important to know that they are very dangerous. According to the International Maritime Organization or IMO, there are around 24,000 deaths on fishing vessels each year. All ships engaged in international voyages must install an ECDIS. Electrical charts display and information system can help fishermen avoid bad weather and navigate through international seas. High-speed craft. High-speed crafts are also sometimes called fast ferries. They are mainly designed for civilian use as passenger ferries. They also include hovercrafts, catamarans, and hydrofoil boats. High-speed crafts are able to go faster because they use air pressure and powerful turbines propellers. The cruise ship. A passenger ship used to voyage on pleasure voyages on which the voyage itself, the ship's amenities, and usually the different destinations, port of call along the way each parts of the passenger experience.